Hi beautiful people, I've just seen Sonic the movie. I'm gonna stick to the episode 1 format. Video game movie. Adventure with a lot of action and some comedy. And I'd give it a 7.5. Bling bling. Light spoilers. The characters are not bad, but I personally didn't like Sonic and Robotnik as much as I think I should. The human characters are not poorly developed, but I think they got a little too much focus, and Robotnik's technology honestly seemed a little too limited. Basically because, as we saw before Sonic's design was corrected, the idea was that this is supposed to be realistic. Like, one of the things that happens in the movie is that there is an advancement in Robotnik's technology, and even after that, it is still not quite Robotnik. But taking this into consideration, it's not a bad movie. One of the things that I feel happens a lot in movies today is that it's kind of empty. People don't want to do what they can, they want to do the least. I honestly can't say that I saw that in this movie, but I do feel that a little in the story itself. The acting is not bad. I would say most of the actors did a good job. But as my wife said herself, maybe what I'm feeling is a problem in the direction. And yes, we have problems with direction. And before we go to heavy spoilers, yeah, that design didn't work as well as we thought it could. When Sonic is seen from the side is okay, when Sonic is seen from the back is okay, when Sonic is a ball is okay, but head on, there is some uncanny valley there. And I think it's because they kept his eyes separate. They based themselves on the original design, but they didn't want to go too cartoony and... But let the rocks roll. Now look, I consider myself to be a fan of Sonic. I wouldn't go fighting and screaming about it, but I did like a lot of his games a lot. I would defend Spinball. On the other hand, I'm not a fan of Sonic as a character outside of the games. I couldn't tell you what's similar or not to the cartoons. So for instance, I know that the rings got some importance that they didn't have because they are at the same time the giant rings. And if you saw the movie and saw that ending, you probably thought the same thing as me. He's going to turn into the werehog. The problem with the technology is that it stayed halfway between let's do this realistically and let's make it more cartoony. He has drones that float around without any visible propulsion. I mean, I think I saw a propeller at one moment, but I couldn't really find them in all the others. That's kind of cartoony. No problems. Then he has a vehicle to go after them, and the vehicle breaks into a smaller vehicle that breaks into a smaller vehicle that breaks into a bomb. I know how that would be a joke, but the way Robotnik is behaving during the rest of the movie, it looks like that was supposed to be serious. And look, they made sure to say Robotnik is not insane, but he's almost there. So for instance, you have gloves with controls, so it's more realistic, but you have a vehicle that's bigger than the last vehicle in the movie, and it is destroyed with one attack. You're going to have just as much difficulty with the other vehicles, and the bomb is going to be even more difficult, but that's for another reason. End of the day, you don't have to cut those scenes that much. You can make them longer and more interesting. At the same time, I do think they made a mistake in exaggerating how Sonic goes into hyperspeed. I said that when the trailer was out. If Sonic can go this fast all the time, it's not a threat. But the way it was written for the movie, it's a particular problem because he discovers he has this power when he speeds up a lot. So it would make sense that as he develops that power, he becomes a better fighter, so he would be able to fight Robotnik in the end. But at the same time, we have Robotnik not really being a threat, and him using this power multiple times without actually learning how to. But let's talk about the really nice stuff. Robotnik's gloves make sense, and I like them. Jim Carrey's Robotnik is basically Ren from Ren and Stimpy if he were an evil genius. And you can see Jim Carrey is really trying to give his all, but the direction seems to want him to be more something. In the middle of the film, my wife turns to me and says, he probably did that by himself. Because you can notice the difference in the comedy that's coming through in the rest of the movie in that moment. Which is when he put the quill near his mouth and gets shocked. Look, it makes sense in this story that Sonic is a younger character. But he gets annoying at some point. He really starts to just ramble a lot and create problems for everybody without noticing that he's doing anything. And that gets old really fast. Fortunately, the balance between the character's talking and the character's acting is good enough to save that. He was developed enough to be a good hero, but not developed enough to be a good character, which could be worked on in the inevitable sequels. So yeah, the movie was well done enough that I can say it's good, but not well done enough that I would actively go looking for a way to see it again. If it was on for free, I would probably watch it again. But that's it. What did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! And if you enjoyed it, please like, share with your friends, subscribe, and don't forget the bell.